What up, Internet? I'm Staff Sergeant Raymond Hoy, and this is your Academy Insider. Man, it feels like forever since we last did this show. Did we actually do the show last week?
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
Really? Man,
Yes.
I need to take some leave. Well, that reminds me, actually, I do need to take some leave. First and the second, I don't even have a pen.
Put it on your iPad.
Note to self, leave.
That was your Palm Pilot.
That was my Palm Pilot. Well, like I promised last week, we worked on getting you some news for this episode, which is awesome. Oh, and yes, I've upgraded the desk a little bit. I like it a little better than the last one. We'll see how long it lasts till these guys take it away from me. First up, Starbucks. No, I'm not going to report on the release of the Trenta. Old news. That's right, as if our cadets weren't hopped up on enough caffeine, now they can get as much as they want for free.
Brand new program here at the Mitchell Hall, and that is we started brewing Starbucks coffee for all the cadets on a daily basis. We'll have the Starbucks coffee available for them 3 times a day at every meal, and hopefully this will make our cadets a lot happier than they were before.
Apparently this was brought on because the coffee they were serving just wasn't good enough.
The issues that we were having here, that we were only serving basically 30 gallons of coffee for 4,600 cadets, we knew that they didn't like the coffee that they were getting, and we came up with the idea, well, let's see if we can get We Proudly Brew right here in Mitchell Hall.
Now, Starbucks also had some executives on hand for the official opening of the coffee kiosk. Oh, and did I mention that there are 3 of these bad boys in Mitch's? I know, right?
I think it was probably one of the most exciting grand openings that I've ever attended.
A little bit of variety, I guess. It's nice.
It was a fantastic moment. As a Starbucks representative and employee, I can't tell you how humbling it is to see the warm response that the cadets offered us, as well as to know that they really seem to like and enjoy the coffee.
Must have more coffee. Up next, Academy English professor John Farley recently finished his 8-year labor of love when he completed his documentary on the Navajo Code Talkers.
The documentary was based on the language, the training, the patriotism, and everything that was involved with the Code Talkers. It was a code that was never broken during the war. It was used in the Pacific only. It wasn't used in the European theater of operations, and it was used very successfully.
Always the educator, Professor Farley created the documentary to be used in the classroom environment, not just at the Academy, but in classrooms in and around the local area.
It is going to be used currently in District 20 in their curriculum, as well as District 11 is looking at it now and evaluating it, and I think they're going to use it in their system. I'm hoping for a broader audience. I like at least the 4-state area to be able to use it, because that's where the Navajo tribe is really located. And I think it's important to tell their story, because they did a lot during the war. They saved a lot of lives, and because of the classification of it, nobody knew about it for years. I'm hoping for a broader audience. I like at least the 4-state area to be able to use it, because that's where the Navajo tribe is really located. And I think it's important to tell their story, because they did a lot during the war. They saved a lot of lives, and because of the classification of it, nobody knew about it for years.
Now we have our cadets showing a little love for their fellow service members from Fort Carson. The cadets invited the families of deployed members out to the Academy for a field day. This entire day was part of the Cadet Lift program.
So it's one of the programs that we have to go through here. It's a graduation requirement, and you go through a different program each year, and they kind of build on one another, and it's about learning about being a leader.
The kids got to do everything from blow-up obstacle courses to face painting and ice skating.
Did they really blow up the obstacle course, though?
No, it was a blow-up obstacle. They got to play in blow-up obstacle courses. Boy, they didn't blow them up.
I think so often we're here so much and we put so much into this school that it's good to get a scope out into the real world and to understand that we're not the only ones going through it.
I hope that they see that the cadets at the Air Force Academy are really, they really care about what's going on with them, and they're really concerned with in general, what's going on in the community.
Not only did these guys get to enjoy the field day activities, the athletic department was good enough to donate tickets for the participants to check out the Falcons men's basketball team trounce the Cowboys from Wyoming.
knowing that we could come here and have something fun to look forward to, that was a huge deal. Not having to look at another Saturday and go, I don't know, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Just being able to have something fun to look forward to is a big impetus for us to come.
Ultimately, 75 cadets volunteered to help out with the event. Excellent job, guys. Next up is a little bit of sports. Not too much this week, though. Just the highlights. And when I say just the highlights, I mean I'm only going to talk about basketball and hockey. Sorry, you'll get over it. Women's basketball is the big news of the week. Our Lady Falcons won their first conference game since 2008. They beat San Diego State 61-58. Now that's 40 conference games that they've lost until now. Our men's team also had a win this weekend with a victory over Wyoming, which I said earlier. Pretty much trounced them with a 72-51 victory. I also said trounced. Just doubling up the effort. That was their second conference win this season. Hockey also went to UConn this week, where they won the first game and tied the second game. Okay, that's it. There's just too many sports to get through all of it, and it's just exhausting. Now it's time to break open the Academy Vault. This week's item is a set of aviator wings that belong to Jacqueline Cochran, a pioneering aviatrix and the first commander of the Wasps in World War II. She was also a friend of Amelia Earhart and the first woman to break the sound barrier. She's a pretty neat lady. Just definitely check her out. Google her or look it up on Wikipedia. Not that I endorse those websites. All right, over here is the information about the wings. I would have actually said this stuff, but I forgot to get them over here when I came to shoot this, so it's got to go in post-production.
Saved in post-production.
Saved in post-production. Excellent work, guys. Now we have everybody's favorite video segment, On Beam. I'm just assuming it's everybody's favorite segment because it's definitely my favorite. This week we have Cadet First Class Jeremiah Baxter with On Being a Cadet Falconer.
I'm Cadet First Class Jeremiah Baxter, and I'm a Cadet Falconer. My position on the falconry team is Cadet in Charge, so I'm the one that pretty much runs the entire program, making sure that every cadet does what they're supposed to do. When I showed up the first day for the tryout process, I was thinking there's absolutely no way I'm going to make this team. I had no idea what to do. I was completely lost the first couple of days until one of the other Cadet Falconers took me kind of under his wing and made sure I knew what was going on. He was definitely a friend of mine. And going through that process, you gain a lot of motivation, you gain a lot of, I guess, just self-pride, knowing that you can go through that strenuous of a tryout process and be able to come out on top.
And you may have recognized Cadet Baxter from his Independence Bowl fame, or maybe infamy would be a better word. On January 28th is the 25th anniversary of the Challenger shuttle explosion. The Academy is having a memorial reveille ceremony this week in honor of the crew who lost their lives that day. We will actually be covering that event in next week's Insider. It's actually a pretty cool story. I can't wait to tell it. Anyway, we have people here to sound off with where they were on that fateful day.
I was in the sixth grade at the time, and I remember it being a huge deal because of the teacher that was on the Challenger. And I remember watching it and seeing it explode and not really understanding what was happening or the magnitude of the Challenger exploding.
And I was at home that morning on leave because my in-laws were coming in from California because my son was going to be born within 2 weeks. And we were very excited, and I remember watching TV that morning and I noticed that there was something odd about what had happened. And I noticed the commentator watching the liftoff was saying, seems to be something wrong. And then when we found out what had happened, it was just a terrible tragedy.
I was actually homesick that morning, so I actually saw the takeoff from home, from our couch, getting ready for school. Was able to go to school after that. I saw the explosion. I was able to go to school after that and share my experience with my friends because, of course, we didn't have classroom TVs at that time.
I was actually in the 5th grade, living in Germany, and up to that point, I had a science report that was due. And I put it off and put it off and put it off until the night before. So as I was trying to brainstorm something to write about, it happened. So we were getting bits and pieces over the news, what was going on. So in essence, I wrote my science report on the Challenger explosion.
It was a very somber morning.
I was deployed to Fort Bragg and living in Tent City. And I recall it was freezing cold. And that's really all I remember about where I was at.
I was a junior in high school, so more than likely in class, I believe. I just remember it was pretty scary. It was a pretty huge thing. But you know, when you're young like that and you're a teenager, you don't really understand the whole entire concept of it all.
Okay, I remember this, but not too much. I was in the 4th grade at the time, and I do remember a lot of the news, but I didn't see it on TV or anything. All right, that's all we have for this week. We've already got some cool things in the works for next week, so until then, I am Sergeant Hoyle.
My eyes are all watering.
They keep making me do the caddy inside. I just want to go to the gym.